one of Canada's toughest half-mile ovals, where if the walls don't get you, the Delaware Hill just might end your climb to the winner's podium. Hang on, we've got 37 late model stock cars rearing to race. The CASCAR Castrol Super Series on just a perfect day for any kind of motor racing. Hello everyone, I'm Pat Gonzalez and welcome to the first of 10 CASCAR Castrol Super Series races we'll be televising from oval and road courses across Canada. With me for the opener here at Delaware Speedway is the longtime public address voice of CASCAR, Ron Sinclair. And Ron, regardless of how long the off season is, it's simply not enough time for some of these teams to be ready for the first race of the season.
Well, case in point, some of them were right in the shop last night, thrashing all night long, getting ready for the race. We suspect the track here today might be a little bit loose, so they've been softening the springs, getting the jets and the carbs and all that kind of stuff ready. But, you know, they've tested on the ovals, they've tested on the road courses in preparation for the opener of 1999. They're all ready to go. Outstanding machines down there. And of course, some of them are going through some pretty big learning curves as well. You look at Al Turner in car number 76. Not only is he switching over to Dodge this year, but also as an owner now, so that's a big learning curve. And of course, Kelly Williams, a crowd favorite, switching from Chevrolet over to Ford, just to mention a few that are making the big change. So it's going to be an interesting race, but I think everyone is finally prepared. They know this track well, and we're ready to go racing.
We also have a strong crop of rookie drivers, first-year runners who will be starting out their quest for the rookie championship, including Scott Steckley, Brad Graham, who has qualified here well in the past, Nick Lapsevich, and also the brand new president of CASCAR, Bill Darman. We'll watch their progress not only here today, but throughout the season.
Yes, and off the track, the venue looks terrific. Of course, they've done a super job in preparing Delaware Speedway. Lots of corporate sponsorship here, as you'll see up in the Turn 4 area during our program here today. And 37 of the finest prepared CASCAR late models in all the country set to do battle.
Well, it should be an outstanding race. How would they start here in the Mopar Parts 250? That was determined earlier during time trials.
And it was Ron Beauchamp Jr. winning the Champion Spark Plug Pole Award with a record time, Pat, 20.195 around the half mile.
Ron, our Mopar Fast 5 looks like this, with Beauchamp grabbing the pole with that record run. And then it's Ted McIntyre in another Dodge. He'll start on the outside of Beauchamp with a strong showing as well. Third fastest was Rob Neely, also in a Dodge. In fourth, it's last year's Mopar 300 winner, Brad Jacques, who almost makes it a clean sweep for Chrysler, if not for the fifth of the Mopar Fast 5, Don Thomson Jr., who pushed his Chevy to a 20.334 hot lap.
1997 Eastern champion Gibbons strapping in. Let's go trackside with Todd Lewis.
David Whitlock was scheduled to start in the 14th position, but his car was late passing through technical inspection. After the parade laps, he'll be forced to drop to the back and make his way through the field that way.
Todd, that'll be a difficult task here today at Delaware Speedway as we look at the pole sitter buttoning that helmet up, Ron Beauchamp Jr. There's the 97 of Rob Neely. Great qualifying run for him. And there's Don Thomson. And here's Roy Westlake to get things started.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engine.
400 some horsepower per CASCAR late model coming to fire here, fueled by the 390 Holley carburetors. There's Ted McIntyre of Windsor. Lots of safety features. He'll get that net up there in a moment. Ron Beauchamp Jr. is on board camera here for us today.
Ron, the Chrysler 300M pace car starts to roll here on pit road. Ron Beauchamp Jr., the 60 Dodge. And alongside of him will be Ted McIntyre as we look at our Midas starting grid. There you see Beauchamp and McIntyre who will make up row one. The second row, another couple of Dodges in Rob Neely and last year's winner, Brad Jacques. The third row will have Don Thomson Jr. in the Home Hardware Chevrolet and Andy Farr. Row number 4, DJ Kennington and Pete Vanderwees, two of the great young drivers in the series. Back in row 5, Pete Gibbons in the Canadian Tire Chevy and John Fitzpatrick. The Fords are back in row 6 with Kerry, Micks, and Kelly Williams. Row 7 will have Al Long out of Ottawa and Dave Whitlock, the defending national champion. Row 8, Steve Robley and the talented Derek Temiersma. Robin Buck in the UAP Napa Pontiac Grand Prix and Neil Fair in the Monte Carlo. Row number 10, Bill Darman and Alex Nagy in the number 93 car. Row 11 will have Al Turner and Jim Lapsevich in the Ford. The 12th row, Nick Lapsevich and Brad Graham in another Pontiac Grand Prix. Here's a look at the rest of our starting grid. Mark Dilley, 28th starting position for the former champion. Duke Sawchuk also making a start here. along with the final car on the grid, Kevin Trevelyan, in the Ford as the cars roll here in preparation for the start. Ron?
All told, we have 12 Chevrolet, 9 Dodge, 9 Ford, 7 Pontiacs, 8 rookie drivers in the field here today, and 12 with at least one championship or another, ranging from national championship on down to track championship. And we'll have some great shots from Robin Buck's UAP Napa Pontiac all day long. Now we'll look at the Ford race analysis, and over $55,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs for this 250 lapper here today. 12-degree banking through the corners, and a beautiful day for racing. Here's Todd.
Number 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr., a new track record in qualifying. He starts on the pole, and he has a pit strategy that will play out later on. David Whitlock, trying to repeat as national champion, has never won a feature event at this track. He wants to win here, but now has to start from the back of the field.
Here we look at the cars all forming up now here in preparation for the green as they come off of turn 4, and they will get it from the retired Speedy Jack Monahan as they race into turn 1. It's Ron Beauchamp Jr. who goes into the lead. Then it is that yellow car of Ted McIntyre running at a number 2 spot. Last year's winner, Brad Jakes, in another Dodge running in third. So here in the early going, Dodges are 1, 2, 3, and 77, Ron. Pete Vanderwees sliding up a little bit high in the corner.
Gets a little of shape, drops back 3 or 4 spots. Dodge very strong here in the early going. They occupied 6 of the top 7 spots.
Dominant in the qualifying and early in this race as they run 1, 2, 3. And there you see the 60 car of Ron Beauchamp Jr. And now we ride on board with Don Thomson Jr., one of our front-running Chevrolet drivers.
And you hear DJ Kennington there get up to about 7,000 RPM. They're pulling 543 gears, some a little bit taller, maybe the 567 ratio.
Ron, we're looking at the battle here for 11th involving the 02 car of Kerry Micks. That's exactly where he started on the grid. And 77, Pete Vanderwees, who had that slide early. Vanderwees trying to work his way back up through the top 10. He'll drive around the outside of the 31 car there of Kelly Williams, making her first CASCAR Super Series start in a Ford.
Well, we saw lots of Chevrolet horsepower there in that Loctite Monte Carlo for Pete Vanderwees. It continues to be Ron Beauchamp Jr. His ex-teammate Jack Monahan watching on from the starter's stand. I'm sure he really enjoyed that.
As we look a little bit further back, 97, Rob Neely and the Ford car, that Home Hardware Chevrolet of Don Thomson Jr., as they continue to go at it here for that 4th place position. And also in that battle is 17, DJ Kennington in the Castrol Dodge, who runs in 6th. Oh, we've got a problem here with number 93, Alex Nagy.
Well, it could be a tire, maybe a mechanical problem. He's up on the top side of turn 4. He cannot get down pit road, so it looks like he's going to hang there waiting for a caution flag. And there he gets it. Matt Lake drops the first yellow of the afternoon here for number 93, Alex Nagy.
Nagy rolling again. We'll see if he comes on a pit road, but the caution is out as we look at our top 5 at the moment. And we'll be back with more of the Mopar Parts 250 from Delaware Speedway after this. Welcome back to the CASCAR Castrol Super Series. This program is sponsored by Mopar Parts, engineered for all Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep vehicles. Miller Lite, proud sponsors of the Miller Lite 100. And by UAP Napa, the right brand for the job.
Back under green after a first caution. It's all Dodge up front. 5 of the top 7 spots occupied by Dodge, and then teammates number 4 and 14. Chevrolet drivers Don Thomson Jr. and John Fitzpatrick in the fold there as well. But Dodge up front, Pat.
Number 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr., your leader as they work the bottom of the racetrack. There's 17, DJ Kennington, and 77, Pete Vanderwees up on the high groove. And now you ride on board with the 02 of Kerry Micks, currently being shown in 10th, as he battles now with the number 1 of Pete Gibbons. A little bit of contact there, Ron, as those drivers battle in. Oh, and we've got a problem. 84, Jeff Ross in the Ford spins off the racetrack.
Well, Jeff Ross, of course, sponsoring the CASCAR School of Stock Car Racing, and DJ Kennington, a good look at that 17 Castrol Dodge down the front straightaway. Up front, though, it's still a battle of Dodge and the Chevrolet of Don Thomson.
And now we look at the race for 7th, the 77, Pete Vanderwees looking for that 7th place spot. As we look at our UAP Napa Field summary, there you see John Fitzpatrick in 6th. And DJ Kennington, who had been 7th, has just lost that position to 77, Pete Vanderwees, as he moves up. Kelly Williams, Neil Fair having pretty good runs here in the early going. As they work back up across the line, this is the battle for 3rd. Don Thomson Jr. slides through on the inside. of the 97 car of Rob Neely. So Ron, the Dodge sweep of the top 3 positions here, at least in the early going, broken here as that Home Hardware Chevrolet takes over third.
Looking out the Home Hardware bumper cam, you get a look at Rob Neely, his 100th consecutive start in CASCAR. Of course, he won this race in his sophomore season of 1991.
Rob Neely in that black number 97 Dodge being shuffled back to 4th as Don Thomson moves up, and now you ride on board with the race leader and pole sitter Ron Beauchamp Jr. as he works down into turn number 1. He's going to be encountering some lap traffic here very, very shortly. And a little bit further back, some of the other great racing. That's 64, Mark Dilley, the former CASCAR champion, making his return here to CASCAR, and he's having a pretty good run, Ron.
Also a teammate of David Whitlock out there. They may hook up here sometime this afternoon. Interesting to note, Ron Beauchamp Jr. with a fast time right there, last time by a 20.4 and change, almost 90 miles an hour on average.
Number 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr. sliding a little bit wide as he comes up on Jeff Ross in the 84 car. And that has allowed Ted McIntyre in that yellow number 8 car to close it up. So it's just a few car lengths separating those drivers.
The battle for 10th belongs to Kelly Williams. A learning curve for her, switching over to Ford this year. Number 67, Derek Timmersma, having a great run as we see on board with Robin Buck's UAP Napa Pontiac. He was the 1998 CASCAR Eastern Rookie of the Year. Currently runs just outside the top 10.
Buck being shown in 13th. That's a great 4-way battle. Williams 31 in the Ford, followed by 02 Kerry Micks. There is your race leader, number 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr. He has led from the opening lap as the race now shaping up here between the number 90 car of Brad Jakes, last year's winner, and number 1 Pete Gibbons. This is the battle for 5th.
Gibbons is one of CASCAR's best when setting up a race car. Here's Todd.
Peter Gibbons in the number 1 Canadian Tire car. The car started off a little tight, but as the race is progressing, the car is loosening up. The track is coming to him. He's now gained 3 spots, currently running in 6th. He was the winner here in the Labor Day race last year.
And a couple of cars about to go a lap down. The number 10 Auto Pro Pontiac of Doug Brown, a regular Friday night sportsman driver here at Delaware, and the 94 Jumbo Video Chevrolet, the 1998 Ottawa Rookie of the Year, Mark Graham from Kingston.
Ron, things have really tightened up at the front of the field. There you see Ron Beauchamp Jr. as 8 Ted McIntyre closes in, and number 4 Don Thomson Jr. in that Home Hardware Chevrolet is also right there as the front-running pack of cars start to work some of the back marker traffic. And there is that number 8 car of Ted McIntyre, sandwiched in the leader, number 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr., and Don Thomson Jr. in the number 4 Chevy.
Big-time Dodge power. You can see these cars swaying off the corners. Tough to get. Oh, problems here.
On the front straightaway, about 6, 7 cars involved. Oh, hard hit into the number 8 car of Ted McIntyre. I believe that was Ron Van Every. And now we go to the onboard camera of Ron Beauchamp Jr., the race leader involved, as they were coming up on a couple of slower cars. And there you see the rest of the field getting through on the inside.
Well, you don't see this too often. The race leader is tangled up. Andy Farr, the DeWalt Tools Dodge in there. The 84 Jeff Ross. The front 2 runners. Look at Van Every's Monte Carlo. Look at that. Crunched heavily here on the front side. That looks like a clip for sure, I would think, on that machine.
Let's look at the Mopar replay. There you see the big collision on the front straightaway, and then Van Every hard into the driver's side on that number 8 car of Ted McIntyre.
Well, you can see on the replay, it looks like the 04 of Andy Farr just tagged the rear of Ross and sent him around. Of course, the leaders had no place to go. Tough break. In the Beauchamp pits is Todd.
Ron Beauchamp Jr., new track record, qualified on the pole, involved in a collision while trying to overtake back markers. Crew goes to work, tearing off the bodywork. It appears to be cosmetic damage. The engine looks to be running smoothly. They're refueling. They'll get it back out as quickly as they can.
Ron Beauchamp Jr. in the wrong place at the wrong time. 97, Rob Neely is your new leader. We'll be back with more of the Mopar Parts 250 after this.
Back to green flag racing here at Delaware Speedway for the Mopar Parts 250. I'm Ron St. Clair along with Pat Gonzalez and Todd Lewis. Interesting, during our break, the 97 of Rob Neely had debris underneath the car, was forced to pit, and now it's the Canadian Tire Chevrolet of Pete Gibbons back out front.
Well, Pete's done a great job so far here this afternoon with that race car. Talking to his crew earlier, they were working more on race setup than on their qualifying effort earlier in the weekend, and it has paid off as Gibbons runs up front. We look at the battle there still involving 02 Kerry Micks and Kelly Williams 31, who've been running together for much of the first part of this race. Some of the other great battles further back. And now Williams, 31, moving up. She's running in the top 10, just behind the 14 car, the Planet Snack Chevrolet of John Fitzpatrick. So the field bunching up here after the most recent caution period. There's 98 Dave Whitlock as he tries to move back up through the field.
Yes, he's looking to three-peat this year. They're running side by side because on CASCAR restarts before the halfway point of the race, the front three are in single file. They pair up after that. And right about here, Whitlock hits 115 miles an hour down the Castrol front straightaway.
And Dave Whitlock has worked his way in the top 10, battling there with the 02 car of Kerry Micks. As we look at the new second place car, that's 77, Pete Vanderwees. And right behind him, the 33 of Neil Fair. And then 66, Robin Buck having a great run in that UAP Napa Pontiac Grand Prix. He's being shown in fourth. And then it is John Fitzpatrick in the Planet Snack Chevrolet in fifth, the number 14 race car.
Have a report, Pat, that number 98 David Whitlock may have a tire going down here on the Quality Care Taurus, and he has definitely slowed off the pace here going into turn number 3.
You saw the 74 car there of Duke Sawchuk as he goes by Whitlock, who gets hit in the back by number 22 Steckley.
Watch your speed, watch your speed. Speed. Here we are, right here. Come on over. 22 tried to dump me coming in the pit.
Problems continue for the number 98 David Whitlock's Quality Care Taurus. Problem with the right front. He got hit coming into the pits, and now the air hose is blown off. They have the new gun coming over the wall to change that right front tire that's gone down.
And Pat, here at Delaware, you can sure lose a lot of time on pit road under green flag conditions, such as the case with Whitlock.
Well, it's not been a great afternoon for Dave Whitlock or Alex Nagy. He's in the pits. He's got the helmet off, but there's a fire under the hood of that number 93 Chevrolet. They get the fire extinguisher over there and finally do get it out. And it looks like that may be it for Alex Nagy here this afternoon. Looking at the battle for second that goes on between 77 Pete Vanderwees in the Loctite Chevrolet and 33 Neil Fair in the Skoll Inc. Chevy. Great battle between those two drivers trying to chase down the race leader, number 1, Pete Gibbons, in the Canadian Tire Chevy.
Well, that was indeed a tough break for the 93 of Nagy. 8 wins in his CASCAR career, and of course that 1995 McCurley, now CarQuest championship here at this very speedway, but he's done here today. And with news from that earlier wreck, here's Todd.
Ted McIntyre, you were one of the cars involved in that big collision coming out of turn 4. First of all, are you all right, and what happened?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just hurt my foot a little bit. I don't know. I just everybody checked up there. I don't know if something happened there, and I got in the back of Ron Beauchamp, and then the 6 car just nailed me, and the car caught on fire a bit there, and it's kind of wrecked pretty bad.
End of the day early after a promising start.
Hal Turner's Blue Streak Dodge in the battle for 8th right now. Quite a learning curve for him, not only switching over to Dodge as we get a look at our UAP Napa field summary, but also as a car owner this year, Pat, so he has a double learning curve, so to speak.
Well, he's involved in a pretty good battle here, Ron, involving the number 90 car. That is Brad Jakes, who runs 7th. Then Turner in that 76 car is 8th, and he's being pressured by the number 02 car there of Kerry Micks. A little bit further up the racetrack, that battle for second continues between the 77 of Pete Vanderwees and number 33 Neil Fair, as the Chevrolets now run 1, 2, 3. After early in this race, the Dodges were dominant, but of course that big crash on the front straightaway took out both Ron Beauchamp Jr. and Ted McIntyre.
Up front of Robin Buck's UAP Napa Pontiac, the Skoll Chevrolet, and Pete Vanderwist, who of course ran Enduro, Sportsman, Street Stock, and CASCAR late models here at Delaware. Let's go down to the track with Todd.
John Fitzpatrick in the number 14 Cookie cars, it's affectionately called by the crew, had his best qualifying effort ever. 10th position. He's already moved up to 5th, avoiding all the collision activity that came out of turn 4. Teammate Don Thomson in the number 4 Mopar car also avoided that collision, has moved up from about 12th or 13th spot now.
Yeah, John Fitzpatrick looks comfortable in the couch, as they call it. Pete Gibbons comfortable here on the front straightaway as well. What a great team this is. 37-year-old Gibbons with 8 career wins. This is his 44th start. And, of course, has Sharpe in both Stouffville and one down in South Carolina as well. And rumor is, Pat, crew member Damon Sharpe may be racing as early as next year.
Well, Damon is a talented road racer. Should be interesting to see how he fares in CASCAR as we look at the race leader. Let's listen in to the Gibbons team.
Of course, on the Castro Super Series, it's mandatory for all teams to have radio spotters out there.
Looking at the battle here for 12th involving the number 4 car of Don Thomson Jr. and the 64 Ford of Mark Dilley as we look at the home hardware bumper cam, giving us a great shot of what's a battle here between a Chevrolet and a Ford.
And both those cars pitted on lap 51, so are running on fresh sneakers. Up front, Ron Beauchamp Jr. has just been lapped. The pole sitter obviously having some handling problems from that wreck earlier. So right on board with Ron Beauchamp Jr.
Ron Beauchamp going a lap down after a very promising weekend with that pole position and the early lead, but then that big crash on the front straightaway. The number 77 car, Pete Vanderweest, continues to hold on to the number 2 spot, and in fact, he's opened up some room on 33, Neil Fair, who continues to circulate in 3rd. And now Pete Gibbons will put number 97, Rob Neely, a lap down. Oh, we've got a problem here. 51, that is Al Long, the Ottawa area driver in that Union Energy Chevrolet. He has spun, and this will bring out yet another caution flag. We'll be back at Delaware Speedway right after this.
Still under caution here at the Mopar Parts 250 at Delaware Speedway, and plenty of action down on pit road. Here's Todd.
Pete Vanderweest brings the Loctite Chevrolet Monte Carlo onto pit road, overshoots his pit box just a little bit. They back him up. They're changing 2 right side tires, an adjustment onto the right rear, and then fuel to send him on his way for the rest of the 250 laps. Kerry Micks at the 0-2 Ford fast lane. Again, adjustment on the right-hand side. 2 right side tires that tighten him back up. He was reporting the car loose earlier.
Quick stuff on pit road. Vanderweest and the Loctite team getting out in under 17 seconds. No wonder they call him the Fast Orange. The 67 of Derek Demersma getting out as well. The Gates Rookie of the Year in 1998. Beauchamp's team still going to work there on the number 60 car. Glenna Snack Chevrolet in for some right side tires as well for John Fitzpatrick. And a look at the crew going to work here on the Blue Streak Dodge of Al Turner, number 76. Of course, a Barrie driver who works in Toronto as a firefighter during the week. On board, Robin Buck and Pete Gibbons, the race leader, have both stayed out on the speedway. And while under caution, here's a Castrol Syntec Tech report.
This year, CASCAR has stepped up its commitment to teams and allowed them more flexibility in 2 key areas, setup and handling. DJ Kennington, how does this affect you and your crew?
Well, Todd, it's going to make our life a lot easier, I think. At each particular track that we go to, we have a little black book that we write down all of our little key secrets. These new gas-charged shocks by Monroe, which we'll be running on our Castrol Syntec Dodge, should give us a little more consistent run and be a little more consistent at the end of the race than an oil-charged shock was. So hopefully, once we get all these tracks figured out, that we'll have a better run at the end of the race.
New shocks, just another step in the continuous development at CASCAR.
But Ron, many of the teams elected to stay with the old style shocks. Is that because they've got the book with that particular suspension?
Exactly. But like all new additions, it'll take a learning curve there, but it's a great option for sure for the drivers. Still under caution here at the Mopar Parts 250. Here's another new feature this year. You, the viewer, can vote in the Rhino Performance Exhaust System Most Popular CASCAR Driver Contest. Just call this number and vote. And last year, this beautiful hand-cut crystal award was presented to Neil Fair by Richard Miller, Director of Advertising and Promotions at Midas Canada at the CASCAR Awards Banquet. So grab the phone and cast your ballot today.
Matt Lake shows the green flag as Pete Gibbons, number 1, jumps back out in front. As we look at the Miller Lite Midway update, there you see Gibbons, Buck, Kelly Williams, and Mark Dilley having a good run. Duke Sawchuk, Ron, in 5th. He started 32nd. He's having a great run here this afternoon.
We saw David Whitlock having some problems, maybe a little bit of a loose handling race car there in turns 3 and 4. We have a couple of lap vehicles in behind the race leader right now, but Whitlock is trying to get back onto the lead lap, or at least 1 lap back.
There you see Dave Whitlock, 22nd position at the moment and 2 laps down. 66 and 31. That was your battle for second. Those 2 drivers, Robin Buck and Kelly Williams, trying to chase down the number 1 Canadian Tire Chevy of Pete Gibbons as he continues to run a very strong race. And now 64, Mark Dilley is closing on Kelly Williams. Dilley running in 4th aboard the Ford, and then 74, Duke Sawchuk, still sitting there in the 5th place spot.
Well, Dave Whitlock, as we ride on board, is on the inside of Robin Buck, who is now 1.88 seconds back of the race leader. Whitlock has held him up just a little bit here.
There's 31, Kelly Williams, continuing to run ahead of 64, Mark Dilley, and Duke Sawchuk, number 74, still looking for that big sponsor to allow them. Oh, Dilley problems. He slides up the racetrack coming off of turn number 4.
Yeah, it could be that Dilley has a tire going down. Whitlock's teammate is definitely slowed. Let's listen in here.
There's a slow car on the outside. Go low, Al. Go low. Get away from Mark Dilley.
Well, those spotters can really help you out. That's former CASCAR driver John Gott helping out the 76 of Al Turner getting around Mark Dilley.
Tough break for Mark Dilley as he had run all the way up into that 4th place position after starting 28. But now Dilley just cruising around the racetrack. He'll be heading on to pit road as we continue to run under green. And there is your race leader, number 1, Pete Gibbons. Let's go to Todd in the pits.
Mark Dilley, the NTN NASCAR 94 national champion, making a return to CASCAR this year, was running in the top 5. A cut left rear tires brought him into the pits in the green flag stop.
Looks like they're having problems there too, Pat. I think maybe he came a little too close to the retaining wall there. They're having a problem getting that jack under there.
Looking at a couple of great battles here, Ron. There's 74 Duke Sawchuk, who has moved up into 4th, followed by the 25 car Jim Lapsovich, who is 5th, and then 77 Pete Vanderweest. So that's just one of the great battles here in the top 10. As we look now at the 33 car of Neil Fair, he's being shown in 7th, followed by the number 90 car of Brad Jacques. There is our home hardware bumper cam from Don Thomson Jr. as he has now moved up into 9th. So Don Thomson Jr. is already pitted up into the top 10 as he works back up across the finish line and into turn number 1. So he is on the charge, but there is your race leader, Pete Gibbons, and Robin Buck in the number 66 UAP Napa Pontiac Grand Prix, settling into that 2nd place position ahead of Kelly Williams, who is 3rd.
We had a good look at that XI Batteries Dodge of Brad Jacques a couple of moments ago. He's being helped by a former driver today as well, Earl Ross. And there's Duke Sawchuk with 9 career CASCAR poles. Let's go down to the pits with Todd.
Gord Osbourne, crew chief for Duke Sawchuk. You're on a race-by-race deal, started dead last. You told me this morning you fixed that car, and it's fast.
Yeah, we were scrambling there. We're pulling our hair out. Felt like rookies setting this car up, eh? But, well, all else prevailed. We stuck together, stuck to our guns, and said, well, we're going for it. There's nothing else we can do, so we're giving her.
Duke is currently running 4th. He's made his pit stop. The 3 cars ahead of him haven't stopped.
Well, Todd, make that 3rd as Duke Sawchuk goes inside of Kelly Williams to take over the 3rd place spot. Kelly Williams, 31 in the Canadian Auction Group Ford, sitting back in 4th, and behind her another 4. That's 25 Jim Lapsovich in 5th. So Duke Sawchuk, 74 on the charge, and behind him a pretty good battle shaping up here between Kelly Williams and number 25 Jim Lapsovich.
Well, you know, up front right now, Pete Gibbons and also Robin Buck are almost praying for caution flags. They have yet to pit. That's becoming a crucial factor here in the late stages of the Mopar Parts 250. Here's a good battle for position further back as well.
There's number 4, Don Thomson Jr. around the number 90 car of Brad Jacques. So Thompson will take over 8, and he continues to charge back up through the field. Number 90, Brad Jacques in 9th, and then it is 0-2 Kerry Micks 10th.
And we have a report of a problem. Here it is. Billy Rouse Jr., the United Carpet Chevrolet. Problems with a shock by the looks of things down on pit road. Race leader is Pete Gibbons, working turns 1 and 2 here at Delaware Speedway, coming up on some traffic. On board with 2nd place driver Robin Buck, just powering through some smoke there. Looks like it came out of the 57 machine of Joe Gonzalez. Let's go trackside again with Todd.
Jason Sharpe, Peter Gibbons is currently leading but hasn't made a pit stop yet. Have you missed your window?
Well, we're a little bit nervous right now. We made a big gamble. It looked like it was going to rain, that last big wreck. But we thought we'd have enough time to make it back up and make a pit stop. But now, you know, it looks like it might go all the way under green, so we may have given this one up.
Peter Gibbons also made the same mistake last year at Cayuga.
And we'll be at Cayuga later on this year for a CASCAR race. We'll be back to Delaware with more right after this. Welcome back to the Castrol CASCAR Super Series Mopar Parts 250 from Delaware Speedway. Race leader, number 1, Pete Gibbons, putting a lap on the Syntec Dodge of DJ Kennington.
Well, Ron, let's take a look at our UAP Napa field summary. There you see Gibbons, Buck, Sawchuk, Vanderweest, Fair, and Kelly Williams. And Don Thomson Jr. continues to pick him off. In fact, he will now take over 6th as he gets around the 31 car there of Kelly Williams. So Don Thomson Jr. continues to climb the ladder here in the top 10. Robin Buck has had a great afternoon. He continues to hold down that 2nd place position, but not able to cut into the margin here that number 1, Pete Gibbons, has over the rest of the field. And in fact, Gibbons now coming up the lap number 90, Brad Jacques, the driver who won this race a year ago.
Well, of course, they're still looking for a caution flag. Robin Buck quite a ways back, actually, in 2nd place and behind some other traffic right now. He'll have to work his way all the way around them and still looking for that caution flag.
And he's going to need that caution flag fairly soon, Ron. Number 1, Gibbons, 66, Robin Buck. Oh, we've got a spin here, 76, Al Turner, and 25, Jim Lapsovich getting into it. There is Pete Gibbons, number 1. He'll escape that on the inside on a hard hit as 28, Steve Robley just smacks the car there of Al Turner.
Man, big time hit there. I don't even think number 28, Steve Robley, in the Texaco Haviland Grogan Ford even saw Turner's Blue Streak Dodge sitting right there. Robley with 16 career CASCAR victories, and look at the mess on the front end here.
That car is severely damaged, and he'll just pull right into the middle of the racetrack. That may be it for the afternoon for Steve Robley. Jerry Finley, the car owner and the crew, are going to have to get that car repaired for our next event coming up at Peterborough Speedway. There is Al Turner, 76. Some damage to his race car as well.
All right, the Mopar replay shows it quite clearly. Turner spinning, kicking up all kinds of smoke, and Robley, pow, right into the side door. And I would have to think a front clip for John Johnson and company.
Well, finally, the caution period Pete Gibbons was hoping for. Let's go to Todd.
First and second place cars make it along pit road. Peter Gibbons and the number 1 Canadian Tire Monte Carlo. Crew goes over the wall. 2 right side tires, gas and fuel. It's the UAP Napa crew also over the wall, right side tires and fuel. It'll be a race down pit lane to see who can make it out first. Gibbons' crew lets the car down. He makes it out ahead of Robin Buck. Jim Lapsovich in the Discovery Ford course along pit road on the right side. The crew goes to work to try and change those 2 right side tires. Played the weather game, hung out there a long time, and did catch a break. That was caution.
Really quick work on pit road for these teams, though. Brad Jakes in the Exide Dodge down on the way. Pete Gibbons with a pretty quick stop, 17.53, and Al Turner's team getting out there as well. But they had some problems, and there it is, front end damage to that Blue Streak Dodge. And lots of shuffling here, too. A new race leader, Duke Sawchuk, out front of the Mopar Parts 250 here at Delaware Speedway. We'll return with more in a moment. Welcome back to the Mopar Parts 250 CASCAR Castrol Super Series race here at Delaware with a new race leader, Duke Sawchuk.
Ron, we've had a real shuffling of the running order behind the new race leader, Duke Sawchuk, at 77. Pete Vanderwees running in second, 33. Neil Fair in the Skull Link Chevrolet back in that 3rd place position. And then number 4, Don Thomson Jr., who's had a great run here this afternoon, running in 4th. But again, on the restart with the lead lap cars up on the outside, lap cars down to the bottom of the racetrack, the cars that are on the lead lap taking a lap or 2 to shuffle past, and in the pits we see the 76 car of Al Turner back in for further work.
Interesting to know, when Pete Gibbons pitted, he also gave up an opportunity to win the Tenneco Automotive Skins bonus for leading at the 3/4 point of this race. So that'll be $1,500 next race.
Battle for second, 33. Neil Fair going through on the inside. He'll grab second. Pete Vanderwees getting shuffled back to 3rd, and some contact there, Ron, between Don Thomson Jr. as he does a nice job of gathering it back up. Thompson looking for that 3rd place position, and he will get it as he puts 77 Pete Vanderwees back into 4th. So Vanderwees has lost a couple of spots here in less than a lap.
Well, Pete Gibbons charging hard as well. He continually runs under 21 seconds here, approaching 88 miles an hour as we look at the UAP Napa field summary right now. And there you see him in 6th. Gibbons charging to the front again.
Don Thomson Jr. in that number 4 Home Hardware Chevrolet, your new 3rd place car. Then at 77, Vanderwees sitting there in 4th, 0-2. That is Kerry Micks in 5th, and then Pete Gibbons, number 1, as Gibbons tries to charge back to the front after making the late stop during our most recent caution period.
Looks like a lead change here as 38-year-old office manager at Fairway Transport, Neil Fair, gets by Duke Sawchuk. It appears he may have a tire going down on their 5th lead change of the Mopar Parts 250.
Number 4, Don Thomson Jr. also sliding through on the inside as he moves the Home Hardware Chevrolet up into the number 2 spot. So we've got yet another leader here this afternoon in the Mopar Parts 250. Neil Fair in that number 33 Skull Inc. Chevrolet out in front. Number 4, Don Thomson Jr. looking to get through on the inside. Don Thomson Jr., Ron, is really putting on a charge.
Sure is. Chevrolet up front right now. They put a lap on a talented rookie, Scott Steckley, in car number 22, the A.W. Millwright's car. And now we're on board with Robin Buck, watching the action down the back chute here at Delaware.
Robin Buck in the 7th place position here at the moment. He had been running in 2nd, but again was another one of the drivers who waited very late to come on to pit road.
Those spotters back at work again. We had a great look at the crowd here. 16,000 plus here at Delaware this weekend for this big race. Opening event of 1999.
And Pete Gibbons, another driver on the charge. He has gone from 6th to 3rd here in just a matter of laps. As we look at the battle up front. Oh, and 74 Duke Sawchuk brings it on a pit road. It looks like they're going to change a tire. So, Ron, evidently it was a cut-down tire that has forced the 74 car into the pits and taken him out of the lead.
Great situation there. The race leader coming up on Don Thomson Jr.'s teammate, but John Fitzpatrick in the Planet Snack Chevrolet moves over and won't play a factor here up front.
There is the number 90 car of Brad Jacques along with 02 Kerry Micks. They're still running on the lead lap and battling for position. 33 Neil Fair is your race leader. Number 4 Don Thomson Jr. in the number 2 spot. And here comes Pete Gibbons. He's got a couple of lap cars in between Thompson and that number 1 Canadian Tire Chevrolet. So it's the Monte Carlos running 1, 2, 3 up front as 02 Kerry Micks and the number 66 car of Robin Buck continue to battle at it here.
Well, what a great race. 37 started, still many of them on the lead lap here as they work off at turn number 4 down the front straight again. And the race leader continues to be Ancaster, Ontario's Neil Fair, his 53rd career CASCAR start, looking for his first ever win, Pat.
And Ron, many thought that first win should have come at Peterborough Speedway a year ago, where he was the dominant car all night long until he was really taken out of the race with the incident late in the event. But right now, Neil Fair out in front in the number 33 Skull Inc. Chevrolet. There you see Pete Gibbons. Oh, we've got a spin. Kerry Micks hard into the wall in turn 2.
Boy, he hit it a ton, an indication that maybe he hit some fluid. Maybe he's lost his brakes here late in the race. He really nailed that turn 2 wall. I think we'll get a look at this here in a Mopar replay. Kerry Micks, I'm surprised he's driving away after taking a lick like that. Ford fast lane Taurus, though, on the lead lap, but he's going to have problems. Here's a look then at the Mopar replay. In hard. He knew he was headed to the wall, but no indication yet what went wrong.
You can almost see the frustration on the face there of Kerry Micks. Here's another replay. Really smacks the wall up in turn number 2. As he had a pretty good run going here today, but this is going to take him out of contention.
Kerry Micks in the 02 Ford Taurus back along pit road for another stop. A fire on the right front involved in that collision where he got up into the wall, had trouble stopping along pit road, and now a fire on the right front. A brake line burst, and that's where the fires come from.
Well, the whole crew had to get in there and slow that car down, obviously out of brakes. That's a Pete Chatanis built car as well. We get a look at problems here in the Loctite Chevrolet of Pete Vanderwist. They'll be in on pit road, I'm sure, shortly. John Fitzpatrick in there as well. But speaking of Chatanis, our heart and thoughts go out with their family today with the passing of Bob Chatanis.
And Ron, there you see the 33 car of Neil Fair as we look at the rundown. We'll be back at Delaware Speedway with the conclusion of the Mopar Parts 250 after this.
The Mopar Parts 250 here at Delaware has come down to a late race shootout as we go back to green following the Kerry Micks crash.
33 Neil Fair, your race leader. Lead lap cars up on the outside. All of the lap cars working the bottom of the racetrack as we come off of turn number 2 and head down the back chute. There's 98 Dave Whitlock. He has picked up one of the 2 laps. He was down earlier, but he still has a full lap to make up as we look at the home hardware bumper cam of Don Thomson Jr. looking back to the 3rd place car of Pete Gibbons, number 1. Great battle here. Oh, and Gibbons slides up high in the corner.
Don Thomson Jr., of course, a 2-time CASCAR Sportsman Invitational winner here at Delaware Speedway, so he has lots of experience here in this half mile.
Well, he has just steadily been working his way to the front, and right now Ronnie's parked right on the rear bumper of Neil Fair as this one winds down. Neil Fair, who a year ago at Peterborough Speedway looked like he was on his way to victory. That did not happen, but here this afternoon, Fair in that number 33 Skull Inc. Chevrolet trying to hang on with the laps winding down. DJ Kennington has had a good steady run here today. There you can see the hood up a little bit. They may have lost a couple of those hood pins. He runs in 5th.
Great opener here for the 1999 Castrol CASCAR Super Series. Castrol celebrating its 100th anniversary. They've been oiling the wheels of industry for a full century now.
That lead battle really starting to heat up, Ron, as they work back to the stripe. There's Neil Fair's crew urging him on. And now Don Thomson Jr. up on the outside as we look at Brad Jacques, number 90, who's moved around Pete Gibbons. So it's 4 cars Up in this lead battle, 33, Neil Fair in the Chevrolet, as is number 4, Don Thomson Jr. A little bit further back, we look at the battle here for 6th and 7th involving Robin Buck, 66 and 67, Derek Tamiersma.
Looks like Pete Gibbons on the inside of the 90 car again. Don Thomson Jr. to the outside of Neil Fair. Great race going on up front. Fair and Thompson both pitted on lap 122. Gibbons with the freshest sneakers. He pitted on lap 178.
Well, the 4 drivers up in this lead group pairing off for the moment into a couple of dandy 2-car battles. 33 Fair and number 4 Don Thomson Jr. That is your lead battle. And then just a few car lengths back, Pete Gibbons trying to retake 3rd from the number 90 car of Brad Jacques, and he will do it as Gibbons has put the Canadian Tire Chevy back around. There is our CASCAR website, and you can check out the latest schedules, point standings throughout the season in both the CASCAR National, Eastern, and Western Championships.
Yes, and of course there's an opportunity to link to some other issues involving racing there as well. The Skoal Link team looking on and urging Neil Fair to possibly his first ever victory here in CASCAR.
But Ron, Pete Gibbons is on the charge. He's picked up about 4 or 5 car lengths after getting around number 90 Brad Jacques. And this one looks like it may be coming down to an all Chevrolet battle for the win after the Dodges dominated time trials. The Chevrolets have run to the front.
Top Dodge is in 4th right now, Brad Jacques. Then number 17, DJ Kennington, who of course is a former track champion here at Delaware. The Fords are a ways back, but they did dominate in the heat races here, led by Kerry Micks, who won an unprecedented 26 heat race.
And at the moment, the top Ford is Kelly Williams as we look at this lead battle, and it's really starting to heat up.
White flag is out. Thompson using lap traffic.
Around the outside of Nick Lapsovich, they'll go. It is 33. Neil Fair trying to hang on. He's got some room to work with down the back straightaway. Thompson in 2nd. Pete Gibbons running 3rd. So Neil Fair, who was denied a year ago at Peterborough, will not be denied here today as he brings it to the stripe. Checkered flag from Matt Lake, and the celebration has begun on pit road. What a tremendous drive for Neil Fair, Ron.
Boy, you could see the arm up, the fist, and the celebration has begun in the Skoal pit right here at Delaware Speedway. Their first career victory after 53 attempts.
Great run for Don Thomson Jr. as he finishes in 2nd. Pete Gibbons 3rd. Brad Jacques, a winner here a year ago, 4th today. DJ Kennington rounds out the top 5. Robin Buck, a good run for him in 6th. Derek Tamiersma in the Pontiac Grand Prix. Pete Vanderweest, Rob Neely, and Kelly Williams.
And look who finished 13th. Top finishing rookie, and he just happens to be the new owner and president of CASCAR number 96, Bill Darmon. Now to the Chaco winner's circle with Todd.
An excited crew greets Neil Fair at the start-finish line. Neil, you started in 18th spot. Don Thomson gave you all you could handle for the last 20 laps. How does it feel for win number 1?
Oh, this is great. It's unbelievable. I want to thank Donnie Thompson. Run me clean. We had a great race. My car was a little loose in the back end there. And this thing worked good all day. Not too many marks on it, and I'm proud of the guys, man. They done a hell of a job. These guys are number 1. They've been working all winter long on this car, and it sure pays off. I want to thank Skoal Link, Synergen, Mac Tools, SRS, Fleet Image, two-way transportation. I can't say enough about everybody that's helped me over the years. And I want to thank the crowd. Great crowd.
An excited Neil Fair, an excited crew. Congratulations on your first win.
Thanks, Todd.
And now the Miller Lite Over the Wall Award goes to the number 33 team of Neil Fair, the Skoal Inc. crew. They gained positions in the pits with a good clean stop on lap 122 to make it possible for Neil to do the rest here in the Speedway with his first career win. Here's Todd with our 2nd place finisher.
Don Thomson, boy, you gave it a heck of a run for the last 20 or 30 laps. You gave Neil Fair all he could handle. 2nd place, a great race.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Home Hardware and the Fitzpatricks and all the crew for doing such a great job. My car was as good as Neil's. If anything, it might have been a touch better, but he did a super job driving it, so congratulations to that team.
A good, hard-fought 2nd place finish.
Thank you very much.
And a good clean race back of the race leader here today as well. Now a look at the point standings after our first stop on the CASCAR Castrol Super Series. Neil Fair out front. Only a 4-point lead, though, with a total of 162 points to win this deal. 4 bonus points for leading a lap, 4 for leading the most laps. And the balance of the top 10. Back to the track again with our 3rd place finisher.
Peter Gibbons, you caught a bit of a break. You did get the caution late because you hadn't pitted yet, and you clawed back a good, hard third-place finish.
Yeah, the Canadian Tire car was really running strong, and we were happy with it. We took on some tires, and the two new tires weren't quite what we wanted, but we come back up to the front, and we just didn't run out of time. You know, we could run up on them, and then it was really tough with Neil, and the other car was running really strong, so that's part of racing.
Good, hard battle, but a nice third-place finish.
Thanks.
Just a great race to start the season, and our congratulations to Neil and Pat Fair and the team on their very first Super Series win. There's the presentation by Roy Westlake and Rick Williams from Daimler Chrysler Canada. The Mopar Parts 250 is sponsored by Mopar Parts, engineered for all Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep vehicles. Inside Track Motorsport News, the official publication of Canadian Motorsport. And by UAP Napa, the right brand for the job. So Neil Fair wins the first of our 10 televised CASCAR Castrol Super Series races. For Todd Lewis and Ron Sinclair, this is Pat Gonzalez saying so long from Delaware Speedway, and we'll see you next from Peterborough Speedway for the Canadian Auction Group Golden Gavel 150.